Thank you. I'd like to call this meeting to order Monday, December 4th, the Village of Deerfield Board of Trustees meeting. Roll call, please.
Mayor Shapiro.
Here.
Trustee Benton.
Here.
Trustee Berg.
Here.
Trustee Jacoby.
Here.
Trustee Metz-Childers. Absent. Trustee Oppenheim.
Here.
Trustee Seiden.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Jerry. If you could all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Over the weekend, Cal Weiner, who did village prosecutions and was a friend of our village and our police department, at the age of 97, died. I'll speak a little bit more about him later in the meeting, but at this point, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence in honor and in memory of Cal. Thank you. Minutes of the previous meeting, November 20th, 2023.
Move approval.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Treasurer's report, Eric.
Thank you. This is the October 2023 Treasurer's Report. It represents 83% of the year. Have just a couple quick highlights tonight, starting off with sales tax, which increased from the same period of last year. Scanning through, I didn't see anything too out of the ordinary, so moving along as we should there. Water and sewer billings increased, again, pretty typical this time of year as we're in the higher usage months. We start to see that fall off next month when we move out of those higher usage months. The hotel tax reflects payments from 5 of the hotels. The 6th hotel paid shortly after month end, so we are caught up with them again. And we also received Lake County property taxes and payments for dispatch services provided to outside entities. Notable expenditures in October include construction and engineering costs, the annual economic incentive payment to Jewel Osco, generator and pump repairs at the treatment plant, and the purchase of 2 Ford F-150 electric trucks using Green Initiative money that was set aside in the capital improvement plan. So other than that, pretty standard month. The year's going well.
How much were those trucks? Do you remember offhand?
I want to say
110.
Okay,
sounds about right.
great. Does anyone have any questions for Eric?
Thank you.
Thank you. Bills and payroll. Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Trustee Jacoby.
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Yes.
Trustee Seiden.
Yes.
Trustee Benton.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Jerry. At this point in our meeting, we offer the opportunity for the public to make a comment on non-agenda items. 2 people have signed in. The first person that signed in was Brad Domash. Brad, are you, please? And it looks like you want to talk about Lake Cook sidewalks.
That's correct.
Okay.
Hi, Bradley Domash. My initial comment is to express support and excitement for the Lake Cook Road redevelopment and rezoning. So I'd like to thank the board and the village staff for everything that you all have done up until this point. As I was reading through some of the Plan Commission documents, there was just one thing that I wanted to add in, or propose to add in. I know, so it said it's a priority for the sidewalks from Waukegan to Carlisle to be added in, as well as, the landscaping gateway along Lake Cook and Saunders. And I support both of these. I would like to also propose a sidewalk or bike lane along Wilmot to Saunders over the Eden Spur. And this is for one incredibly important reason, and that's to connect Deerfield to the incredible amount of trails along the Des Plaines Displains Trail. And so, I know that one of the goals of the plan is to encourage new modes of transportation for the village, and I think this would help achieve that. And I recognize that the location presents challenges given its unique structure and ownership structure with the counties and over the spur. But I think that if it's ever going to happen, it will happen when this redevelopment is a priority. And I think it will be incredibly valuable, not just for the property values of the village, but I think for the quality of life and connecting us to that, incredible natural resource will be really amazing. So I know that it's possible that the Plan Commission is who I should be speaking with, but I figured I'd bring it up to you all as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Great points. A couple of things along the lines of what you're talking about. We will be furthering our process for what we're referring to as the Lake Cook TIF into probably the first quarter of next year. So if everything goes okay, it could be approved March, April-ish.
Yes,
So there's a process. There will be public hearings, et cetera. And then second of all, with respect to sidewalks, some of that is something we can look at, and some of it, it's not our property. It's not in our town. It's an unincorporated. So we wouldn't have jurisdiction over stuff that's not within the village, but nonetheless, you bring up good points, and thank you for that. Did you want to?
And Your Honor, I do want to add that when Lake Cook Road was reorganized 10 years or so ago, we added the sidewalk along the north side of Lake Cook Road that goes all the way out. We also worked with Lake County to do the underpass of the tollway. So there's a bike path by Caruso High School along Deerfield Road that does lead out.
Yep.
And I know the Deerfield Road reconstruction project, Bob, that's coming, I think, in 2025 in Riverwoods, which is going to expand Deerfield Road to 3 lanes, does include a significantly improved bike path component that will lead to the Des Plaines River Trail. So a lot of that stuff's going, but great points, and we need to keep it top of mind too. So when we can do it, we want to do it because for all the reasons you suggested.
Understood.
Thank you for bringing it to our
Thank you all.
attention. Thank you. Paul, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to even try to pronounce your last name, Paul, because I will not do it correctly. So I'll let you introduce yourself.
My name is Paul Stepankovsky, Stepankovsky. You got all? Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Paul Stepankovsky. I'm a resident of Deerfield. I live at 1046 Hillside Avenue with my 2 kids and my wife. I want to talk to you about removing signs from personal property. I prepared a quick letter. I hope I can make it happen in 3 minutes. So thank you. We've been living in Deerfield for 12 years. I would like to share with you all a very disturbing event that recently took place at our home following the horrendous terrorist attacks by Hamas against Israel on October 7th, which involved brutal killing of more than...
Well, I'm not going to hold you against. I'm not going to hold it against you. Can you just slow down a little bit so that we can better understand what
And
you're
maybe
saying?
step back like a
Yeah,
couple inches from the mic.
And
My apologies.
We'll give you a
Is
little more
is this-
time. Just
is this
slow it
got
down
more
a little
time?
bit
better?
so we can hear you and
All right.
hear you better.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So I would like to share with you all a very disturbing event that recently took place in our home following the terrorist attacks of Hamas on October 7th, which involved the brutal kill of more than 1,200 Israelis, Americans, and other people from different countries. Also, after that, they kidnapped more than 200 other men and women and children, and I have to also stress that Americans are still kidnapped and not released. By way of context, I am Jewish, and I'm immigrated to the United States from former Soviet Union to escape anti-Semitism and persecution in early 1990s here to the United States. We came to Deerfield, me and my wife, we built our house here because of the excellent schools, parks, public safety, and what we believe would be at the very least a community accepting Jewish people. My sense of Deerfield as a tolerant and accepting community was dramatically undermined in just a heartbeat the other day by the actions of the one member of the Village of Public Works Department here in Deerfield. On November 21st, when he was apparently checking the progress of ongoing construction project at the home across the street from me, at our neighbors, Mr. Patrick Sakanti, and I hope I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, so a Stand with Israel sign I had placed in my front yard following the Hamas terrorist attacks on October 7th. Video recording, which I've done by me on my house, I made of the sequence of events. Mr. Sakanti can be seen spotting the sign in my front yard, walking over the sign, to the sign, I apologize, pulling the sign from the ground, starting towards my front porch, supposedly wanted to either reposition the sign or actually place that sign on my porch. Then he changed his mind. He looked at the sign, realized that that sign was pro-Israel or support of Israel, turned back, and placed that sign to his trunk. No warning, no conversation, no notice, written or otherwise, to me about the location of the sign being potentially close to the sidewalk. I realize that that sign might be close right away to that sidewalk. And certainly no opportunity given to me to adjust the placement of my sign on the front yard, and this was truly the concern behind his actions. I believe it is responsible to view Mr. Sakanti's action, particularly in light of the tremendous rise in acts of anti-Semitism across our state, country, and the world, as being driven by his personal views that our family support of Israel during these difficult times is improper, unwarranted, and to be condemned or silenced. I have to also remind that these events or other events, for example, in Skokie or other North Shore communities, when kids were taped to go through the neighborhood and destroy pro-Israel signs, or even worse, the leaflets of anti-Semitic messages spread across other North Shore communities.
All right,
Although, Mayor Shapiro, give me 1 minute, I know I'm out of time. And
I'm just going to ask you to politely kind of summarize if you can.
Of course, 30 seconds, less than a minute.
Good, thank you.
I wanted to say thank you to you. I do. You graciously spoke with me to discuss my concerns, and I wanted to request that the board take official public action to direct all village department heads to communicate in writing, with their staff to highlight the importance of being more sensitive to the feelings of members of our community and not to take actions to limit pro-Israel speech during these trying times of increased anti-Semitism. This should include, at the very least, giving homeowners the opportunity to correct sign placements versus simply confiscating signs without communicating with us and owners, notwithstanding some potential violation of the village signs placement ordinance or their own personal objections to the content of their signs. From such action, I hope we will be able to regain our sense that we are truly welcome in Deerfield. Thank you for your consideration. Again, thank you for your time. I know I'm out of time, and I appreciate it.
Normally, during this time, we don't go back and forth, but I feel compelled tonight to do so. Thank you for bringing yourself and your son here. You and I did have a conversation, and I will say it was a respectful conversation. And with your permission, I'm going to share some of that conversation so that those who are listening and those who are here can get a clearer and more complete picture, including what I told you on the phone.
Of course.
Our Public Works Department picks up signs that are in the right-of-way, regardless of what they say, whether they're pro-Jewish or pro-whatever. They pick signs up because those signs, as in our village code, are not permitted to be in the right-of-way. There is no exception. As strongly as you feel, there is no exception for what the language is. We don't pick and choose. Your sign was in arguably the right of way, and you were upset about that it was removed. Within an hour, it was placed back on your property.
After I was here.
Yeah, because you expressed that you were upset. Within an hour, even though it was in the right-of-way, it was put on your property. 39 other signs were picked up that day of various types. Political signs, for sale signs, garage sale signs were picked up that day, including the one that was on your right-of-way. There was no selective process that day for anyone's sign to be picked up, because that's what
we can
Public
argue
Works
that.
does. Another thing you should be aware of, as I told you on the phone, was that your neighbor has a pro-Israel sign not on the right-of-way. Maybe it's 2 doors down, and was not taken off his or her property. Further showing that there was no process here to be selective as to what signs to pull out of the right-of-way or to pull out of private property. I understand your passion, but I think part of it is emotional and part of it is misguided, because we don't do that. Our public works are directed to take signs out of the right-of-way, regardless of what they say, regardless of who espouses them. And that's what they did. I am glad that you came to this meeting. I encouraged you to come to this meeting and let your voice be heard. And I'm hopeful that with this explanation, you have a better understanding of what we do and why we do it.
I thank you. I respectfully wanted to be on the record. We don't have time to
We can have
discuss,
another conversation
right?
offline.
But I do want Deerfield Public Works, which I respect a lot of men and women I work with by building my house 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
No exceptions. That's why I'm a record. I on the record right here. I love this community. I love this city.
We love you being here.
Right?
Yeah.
And I would like to be on the record that I'm sure there is someone from Public Works here. My hope was that they will communicate with all the employees with this, let's just call it sensitivity trading, or at least a message who's people who live in this community. That's all.
I think you just made that message known.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Any other public comment? I know two people signed up, but is there anyone else here who would like to offer public comment? All right, let's move on to reports. Item 2396, report and recommendation of the Family Days Commission regarding the 2024 Family Days budget.
Good evening, Mayor.
Hello,
and
Ryan.
Trustees. I'm Ryan, and I'm joined up here with our two co-chairs for the Family Days Commission, Judy Guter and Angie Butera. So we had a meeting on November 20th to go over our recommendation for the 2024 we reviewed the revenues and expenses for 2023, and we've voted on a budget for the Family Days 2024 budget. The proposed budget was drafted by using expenses and revenues from 2023, and we were incorporating ways to improve the quality of the event, as well as reduce costs and improve fundraising. For 2023, the Family Days Commission continues to provide a high-quality, family-friendly event that engages the Deerfield community. This year on July was the first full year back for the Family Days Commission after COVID, and we had an early ending in 2022. The July 3rd event had a large turnout at Shepherd Park. We estimated that there was over 2,000 people that were there for the fireworks and music. And on July 4th, it operated as usual, just with a little bit smaller of a crowd. We were still happy with all the parade attendees and parade participants as they put on a great show. So whoever was there still got a great show from the parade participants. Due to the lower turnout for July 4th, it is reflected by lower revenues, and the budget shows a net cost. As I've listened to my speech the presentation that we did last year, and it's a net cost, not a net loss. So there is a net loss of $64,966.02. this year we also had two commissioners resign from the Family Days Commission. So we're working with the Volunteer Engagement Commission to actively fill those vacant spots. So the budget, as shown in the bid or in the packet, the board packet, will come out to a total, or for expenses, will come out to a total cost of $105,000 or $105,100, and the revenue side of things would be $30,700. Is there any questions?
Have you decided what's going to be for next year yet, as far as the parade route and where the fireworks are going to be?
Yeah, so for the fireworks, I'll start off with that because that's on July 3rd. We are planning on having the July 3rd event still at Shepherd Park, as it did look like it was a big turnout. One thing that we were looking into is maybe having a live band rather than having the DJ. We feel like that would help get us a bigger crowd and maybe have people show up a little bit earlier with live music. It'll provide a better sense of community for that. And then for the parade route, due to Waukegan Road planning on being under construction with IDOT, we are planning on having the same parade route as we did last year. So going down Deerfield Road all the way till Park Avenue and then taking a right on Park Avenue.
Because you expect it to be resurfaced, is that right?
Yeah, so it is going to be a resurface. With it being IDOT, we're not able to really mandate what they do. So we think that this would be the best route to still have a successful parade.
Ryan, are you guys at all concerned that, this year it was our project and we were in charge of the reconstruction, the water main work on Waukegan Road? This coming year, it's not our project. It's somebody else's project.
And that's what you just talked about, the control, lack of control on our part.
We've got some contingencies in place to try to figure out how to work around this in case the cooperation isn't there. I don't know how to put it in a nicer way.
I think that's the answer is to take a Deerfield Road to Park Avenue as to try to come up Waukegan. We can't count.
Right.
We can't count on.
Right. Well, that's what we did this year.
Right.
But even with that, with that, we need that intersection clear.
But again, it's a resurfacing, so I think we're kind of comfortable if it's a 2-inch grind and overlay, we can kind of get through that with the group. I mean, when we get there, we got to get there, but we're pretty comfortable that we can get the parade through.
No,
that.
It's just we need the intersection.
Yeah, right.
They need to be done with the southern portion in order for us to do the same route that we did this year.
Or a place where you can get through it. If maybe there's temporary, ramping. Maybe there's some stuff that we can do if we have to. But it's not going to be closed because they're not going to close traffic down through this project. So I think we're going to be able to get through there. It's just a matter of.
I just want to say to Judy and Angie, you guys had challenges last summer. I mean, between the construction and people were still
years of challenges.
and people were still feeling the 4th of July massacre from the year before, and there were people who maybe they're in, maybe they're out, and so you guys did a great job under the circumstances, and we really appreciate all of your hard work. And this year will be, maybe a different type of challenge, but maybe not, hopefully, as difficult as it was for you last year. We appreciate your hard work.
And you're right. It's safe to say fireworks continue to cost more and more and more.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at that number. That number used to be $15,000. That number is now $35,000.
Right.
On the other hand, you got to put if you're going to do fireworks, you got to do fireworks. You can't do a weenie show.
And everyone was very complimentary that I spoke to about our fireworks.
Absolutely.
And maybe the attendance was down a little bit because people are a little more apprehensive. Mm-hmm. But we'll work through it. You guys will do a great job. I know you will because you always do. So thank you for everything that you do and everything that you're going to be doing in the next, 6 months, 8 months or so.
Thank you. Yeah, we have great commissioners, so they still put on a great showing.
Yes, they do.
So what kind of help do you need in terms of new people? What kind of skill set are you looking for commissioners?
So we're
Sponsorship.
Yeah.
Sponsorship, yeah.
Sponsorship and parade.
So fundraising, marketing-ish, or public information.
So anybody listening?
Who wants to write a check for $50,000? That would be great. Just putting it out there. Just saying.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
We have a couple items on, I'm sorry.
You gotta get it.
Yes, sorry about that. I'm looking for a motion to accept the report.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Yes.
Trustee Seiden?
Yes.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Motion passes.
We have a couple items on the consent agenda. I'll read them. Item 2379-1, an ordinance authorizing relief from Article 202D1 of the zoning ordinance for property located at 560 Briar Hill Road to permit the construction of a new home with a front yard setback of 140 feet in lieu of the minimum 167.5 feet. And item 23-101, a resolution approving amendments to the personnel policies and procedures of the Village of Deerfield. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as read?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Seiden?
Yes.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Old business, item 2388, an ordinance levying taxes for the corporate purposes of the fiscal year commencing on January 1/24 and ending 12/31/24. Eric, you got this one and the next one.
Yeah, two for one tonight. Two ordinances, one presentation. These have both been discussed in detail at committee of the whole meetings. We had a public hearing at the last board meeting. There have been no changes, and we received no comments since that public hearing. The first one levies the taxes for 2024, which is called tax levy year 2023. The second ordinance comes back and abates a portion of that levy because we are getting money back from the qualified energy conservation bond. So we have another source for that levy.
Okay, so let's take them one at a time. The ordinance levying taxes for January 24th through the end of the year. Are there any comments from the public on this? Trustee comments?
Eric, did we figure out, I know we did, but how much was it for a $500,000 home, the increase?
$20.
It's about $20 additional from last year, $923. Of course, that sounds really precise, but that's an estimated number because of the
923
calculation.
is approximate, huh?
Yeah.
All right, I'm looking for a vote on this ordinance. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Yes.
Trustee Seiden?
Yes.
Motion passes.
The second half of Eric's presentation is item 2389, an ordinance abating a portion of the 2023 tax levy requirements for Series 2011 BGO bonds. Anything more you want to say? Okay.
Again, that's just the money comes back to us. We get 70% of the interest back on those bonds that we issued several years ago. That was a really great deal that we got some help with back then, and we continue to see that benefit through the end of those bonds, which will be 2028.
Any public comments? Trustee questions or comments?
And we've abated this each time.
We have.
Each year that we've been able to.
$359,000 coming back to us each year from another source other than the property tax levy.
And that's what we abate pretty much.
And that's what we abate. Yeah.
We're not really abating it because we pay it, but it's the way you adjust it.
We're not taking it from the taxpayers.
Right.
It's not coming from the
tax
property
credit
tax
otherwise,
levy.
yeah.
It's coming back from the federal government through a rebate.
But we're paying it.
We make a full payment, and
Right.
a piece of it comes back. So
I had a question.
two revenue
Somebody
sources.
that asked when we abate it, do we not pay it for some reason? But we do.
You pay it, but the
we pay it,
taxpayers
but-
don't pay it.
Yeah.
The village pays it.
Right.
We do
The
pay it.
taxpayers do not. Move approval.
With that clarification, is there a motion?
I just said it. Move
Is there a
approval.
second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Yes.
Trustee Seiden?
Yes.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thanks, Eric. Under new business, item 2390, a resolution approving the regular meeting schedule of the Board of Trustees. We do this every year. It sets forth our calendar and our schedule of our meetings. Are there any, or did you want to speak to this, or is that pretty much
Just
it?
want to say you've got both meetings in January and one meeting in February pushed back a date, the Tuesday, because of the holidays, the federal holidays. So those are the kind of the, I don't want to say goofy ones, but those are the ones that are out of sync with the rest of the year.
And that carries over to the next Tuesday, to the
And
next
Labor
day.
Day.
Right,
too.
we're doing them on Tuesday. So
There's no Wednesdays. We hit a Wednesday
We
this
did hit
year.
a Wednesday. Yes. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Yes.
Trustee Seiden?
Yes.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, Ryan, get comfortable. You got the next several items. Item 2391, a resolution to award GIS services.
Thank you. So the Village of Deerfield has been working with MGP, which is Municipal GIS Partners, since 2002 to participate in their now 42-member consortium. So in order to continue service, each year the village needs to renew its contract with MGP. Due to the success of the consortium, renewal prices have stayed relatively low. We had a 0% increase in 2021, 2.7% increase in 2023, 3.7% increase in 2023, and then a 3.4% increase is requested for 2024. MGP provides the village with support services, staffing, and consulting work in an effort to construct and maintain the village's GIS system. This arrangement allows for efficiencies and a discounted fee structure that allocates MGP staff hours. So we are on a 40% allocation, which means that we have an analyst in the office 2 days a week. Some recent highlights of what MGP has done for us has been the lead service identification and planning for all the lead service lines that need to be identified as part of the EPA. We also had the tree inventory tracking. That's part of our tree inventory grant that we got from the Morton Arboretum. The TIF District Insights for Data-Driven Decision-Making. That is helping with the TIF districts along Lake Cook Road. And then there's also dispatch support for Matawa to be included in the dispatch operations. So our analyst is working with the police department on that. MGP has been very responsive to all of the department needs for public works, community development, administration, as well as creating maps for the boards, for the board of trustees, as well as all of our commissions. A public website is also, or a public access GIS is also on our website for residents to use. So the village has properly budgeted for GIS services in 2024, and staff is recommending a contract approval to approve a contract renewal with MGP in an amount not to exceed $91,990.
Thank you. Comments from the public? From the board? Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Yes.
Trustee Seiden?
Yes.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 2392, a resolution waiving competitive bidding and awarding a turf maintenance contract to Patriot Property Services.
So the Village of Deerfield owns and maintains over 30 locations that require weekly or biweekly turf maintenance. This includes the Lake Cook Road median islands, the right-of-ways, and as well as the Metro train station and those right-of-ways. The village does not have a dedicated landscape division. Therefore, bids are solicited from quality turf maintenance contractors to perform this function. We advertised and went out to bid, and bids were opened on November 17th of this year. And the Public Works Department received 6 bids. Patriot Property Services, LLC, was the lowest responsible bidder at $39,000. While we have not worked with Patriot Property Services in the past, they are they're a service-disabled veteran-owned business, and have received positive reviews for their work. The previous turf maintenance contractor, Green Acres, was the apparent low bidder. However, staff is not recommending that the village renew a contract with Green Acres for this year in an effort to provide improved services with a different vendor. This does not preclude Green Acres from being selected for another project.
Why are we waiving, or why is there a suggestion we waive competitive bidding?
So they came in, Patriot Property Services came
Slightly
in
lower.
Oh, okay.
about $700 more than
Okay.
Green Acres did.
Oh, okay.
So we just are looking for improved services
I understand. How long had we been working with Green Acres?
since 2018. So funding for this work has been included in the 2024 budget. Staff recommends that the village waive the competitive bidding process and recommends that the mayor and board of trustees awards the contract for the turf maintenance to Patriot Property Services LLC for a price not to exceed $39,000.
Any public comment? Trustee comments or questions?
Yeah, did you get any recommendations for them? I know you said that they're veteran-owned and stuff, but what kind of recommendations did you get?
So they've worked on a lot of corporate projects. We would be their first municipal project, from my understanding. So they've done a lot of corporate buildings and things like that, and we're excited to hopefully have them work on the municipal side of things.
Did you get any recommendations from anybody?
We did not get any recommendations. No.
Why not?
We did not request references in this project.
It might be something you might think about in the future. As we found in the past, sometimes when we don't get recommendations, we're sorry.
Okay.
Let's see how they do. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second? Roll
That
call,
includes
please.
waiver of the bidding
Yes.
procedure? Okay.
What he said.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Yes.
Trustee Seiden?
Yes.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Resolution to award landscape maintenance contract.
Okay, so staying in the grass and plants side of things, the village of Deerfield maintains over 27 landscape locations that require planting and maintenance. This includes municipal buildings, Lake Cook Road median islands, entrance features, streetscape urns, and also the planter boxes. As I said, with the turf maintenance, the village does not have a landscape division, so we do have to go out to bid for these projects. This project was advertised last year, and bids were opened on December 9th of 2022. The department received 3 bids. Similar to what we requested last year, we asked for both the materials costs and the maintenance costs. Again, we are looking to just extend the maintenance contract with Malou Landscaping, or Malou Design LLC, for a 1-year extension at no price increase. Staff's worked with Malou on multiple landscape projects, and we believe that they provide excellent quality landscaping services. The current contract allows for 2 1-year extensions, and this would be their first 1-year extension. Funding for this work has been included in 2024 budget, and staff requests that the mayor and board of trustees awards the contract for the landscape maintenance only to Malou LLC in an amount not to exceed $40,300.
So I have a question. If we've done this before, meaning exclude the materials, then why did we go out for bid for materials this year?
Could you
We didn't. So so essentially the village is acquiring the plant materials.
Yes.
And we would like Milieu to actually plant them and install them.
Okay.
We felt that we had access to better materials. Bob, if I'm putting words in here, we felt we had access to better materials than they were providing, so we wanted to separate that out.
Got it.
And we
Okay, I
did it
understand.
this year.
And,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
It, and it worked out great. I mean,
It did.
Yeah.
And I will,
We want to do it next year what we did this year.
Okay.
yeah, and our next agenda item will be the purchase of the landscape materials.
That's Reds. That's the
Got
next
it.
one.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the public on this? Board? Is there a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Yes.
Trustee Seiden?
Yes.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Resolution to purchase landscape plant material from Reds.
So the Public Works Department has been purchasing landscape material from Red's Garden Center in Northbrook for approximately 19 years. The village currently uses Red to purchase materials such as topsoil, dirt, and other plantings.
Huge.
Staff has been impressed with the quality of the plant material that they provide and look forward to working with them again. They're a dependable supplier, and they have excellent customer service. Staff recognize the need for high-quality plants for landscape planting and maintenance. In our last year's bid for the landscape maintenance contract, and the material provided by Reds will be used for landscape locations around the village, including the urns, beds, as well as the entrance features. The purchase will include an assortment of plants, flowers, and associated supplies such as dirt and mulch, and all of these will be fully budgeted. The Public Works and Engineering Department requests that the Village Board waives the competitive bidding process and authorize the purchase of planting materials and associated supplies from Red's Garden Centers up to the budgeted amount of $30,000.
Any public comment? Board comment or questions?
All I can say is it worked out great this year. This was kind of an experiment. This was the first year that the village has done this, to use one vendor, the contractor,
Split it
to
up.
install this stuff and then split it up. We have a long-standing relationship with Reds.
Yeah, they're terrific.
Very high quality stuff. It's local. It's easier for us to get, and we don't have to wait to say,
Right.
what can you get? When are you going to get it? And it's worked out very well. And Milieu doesn't seem to mind it. They're very happy that we acquired the plant material. So I applaud you guys for working this out. It's been very
Yeah.
successful.
Who designs it? Is it Malou or is it you or who's
The Public Works
Is it Bob?
Department
Ryan?
gives, well, yeah, it's Ryan. The Public Works Department gives suggestions and a palette and a prescription to Reds that say this is the kind of things we're looking for, and to Milieu as well. And they have some consultation with some outside people, including myself.
Okay.
And they meet our requirements, and then the crews come and install the plant material. And they do these kinds of installations all over, for all of their clients. So none of this is, Sanskrit or new
Right,
for them.
right.
They're competent professionals, but we now have just a little bit more independence
And
a little bit more control and creativity in the whole process. So
I was just wondering because they're beautiful.
they worked out great this year, didn't
were
they?
Beautiful.
And plant growth is different year to year.
You bet.
You might not get turtle heads this year where you got them last year. That's part
Oh,
of
I
it. That there
know.
needs to be an art,
Right.
an art to this too.
Right. So, I compliment Public Works for having both sustainability in mind and economy in mind. I don't know how many people have noticed in our planters now, we do have permanent materials. We have evergreen shrubs in with the flowers that are not replaced and thrown out every year. So that first of all, we're not wasting plants. Secondly, it's less labor and it's less cost. And it's a better look. So, we fortunately have found a landscape contractor who is happy to work with the village in that way.
And it's working out
So,
great.
yeah. So
Awesome.
that's why.
Well, thank you for helping.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Seiden?
Yes.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 2393, thank you. Resolution waiving competitive bidding and awarding the tree and stump removal contract to Advanced Tree Care.
The Public Works Department is responsible for the removal of parkway trees and stumps from the parkway and village properties, unimproved right-of-ways, and alleys. These removals are necessary due to trees being infected or hazardous, and they're in need of removal. For fiscal year 2021, the tree removal contract was competitively bid, and Advanced Tree Care was the lowest bidder. For fiscal year 2022, we awarded them a 1-year extension with no unit price increase, and then for this year, 2023, the second 1-year extension was at a 7.1% unit price increase. The current contract allows for 2 1-year contract extensions, but Advanced Tree Care is requesting to authorize a third 1-year extension at no unit price increase. Staff recommends that the village waive the competitive bidding process for the third 1-year extension due to increasing costs around the country for materials as well as equipment and fuel. Advanced Tree Care has been the tree trimming contractor for over 9 years and has provided excellent service and quality work. $75,000 was budgeted for this work, and staff is requesting the full budgeted amount. Staff requests that the Mayor and Board of Trustees awards the contract for parkway tree and stump removal to Advanced Tree Care for $75,000.
Questions from the public? Board?
Yeah, do we have our own tree stump removal,
Yeah, I
don't
was
we?
going to ask the
Still?
same thing.
I would have to check with.
We have a
Yeah.
stumper.
Yeah.
When do we use it?
I'm not sure the answer to that question. On occasion.
When necessary.
Yeah, this is more for like the larger trees that we can't do in house.
Okay.
I'm feeling like this is the Alan Farkas question from 10 years ago. We use the stump removal equipment when it's in our best interest to do it, I think is the answer to the question,
Right.
Bill.
Yeah, so probably maybe 10 to 15 years ago, we purchased a stump remover, but we found it more cost effective to use an outside service to do this work for us. It's roughly $50 to have a stump removed by a contractor, and it takes 2 people plus the equipment to do this job. So it's more expensive for us to do it in-house. We do, however, at times do it ourselves if we can't have a contractor.
For an emergency.
Sometimes the contractor can't mobilize,
Right.
sometimes it's an emergency, et cetera. So we do use it from time to time.
So you say that the purchase of the removal equipment was not a bad buy then, because we do use it.
It's a tool to have in our toolbox, but it's not something that we use that often.
Okay, good.
Thanks, Bob.
Questions from the public or the board? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Come on, you guys.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Yes.
Trustee Seiden?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Resolution waiving competitive bidding and awarding the tree trimming contract to Advanced Tree Care.
So the Public Works Department is responsible for the trimming of the parkway trees for traffic clearing purposes, to preserve the tree's health and appearance, and to provide possible damage to human life and property. The village does not have a dedicated forestry division. Therefore, we do have to solicit from qualified tree contractors to perform this function. For 2021, the tree trimming contract was competitively bid, and Advanced Tree Care was the only bidder at that time. In 2022, they had a 1-year extension with no unit price increase, and this year, 2023, they had a 1-year extension with a 7.1% increase. Similar to the tree removal and stump removal contract, this current contract allows for 2 1-year extensions, but Advanced Tree Care is requesting to have a third 1-year extension with no unit price increase. Staff recommends that the village waive the competitive bidding process for the third 1-year extension due to increasing costs. Staff feels that the cost is competitive, and we have received many compliments on their work. Advanced Tree Care has been the village's trimming contract for 9 years and provides excellent quality work. $75,000 was budgeted for this work, and staff is only requesting the full budgeted amount. We currently have a cycle where for our tree trimming program, The village is divided into quadrants with approximately one area being maintained each year. This winter, the northwest quadrant is scheduled to be trimmed. The Public Works and Engineering Department requests that the Mayor and Board of Trustees awards the contract for Parkway tree trimming to Advanced Tree Care for $75,000.
Questions from the public? Questions or comments from the board?
From my non-professional observance, it looked like they did a very nice job last year, and they were neat. They cleaned up after themselves. I think they're a good company.
Yeah, they have the tree trimming on, like, they know what they're doing. They're a good company to work with.
And so when we hit 75,000, then they're just not going to do any more.
Correct. That we will have to cut off at the $75,000.
With the caveat that if there's an emergency we got to deal with,
Obviously.
we'll always deal with it.
Obviously, yep.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby.
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Yes.
Trustee Seiden.
Yes.
Trustee Benton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, Ryan, bring it home. Resolution to award sewer lining contract.
Last one.
Yep.
The Village of Deerfield has been lining sewers for over 20 years. This is a cure-in-place piping, which essentially creates a new sewer pipe without the mess and expense of the conventional replacement needs, such as digging up the ground to replace it. In total, over 6,500 linear feet of sewer is proposed to be lined as part of this year's project. The project was advertised this year, and bids were opened on November 17th, 2023. We received 4 bids in total. The quotes received by all bidders met specifications, with the lowest bidder being Visu Sewer of Illinois. The lowest bid came in slightly higher than the $425,000 budget that we have just for sanitary sewer lining. But this bid also included storm sewer in it as well, where we used to have 2 separate contracts. We combined this into one contract. So for the storm sewer contract, that has $80,000 budgeted for. So staff is recommending that we use the funds from these 2 different line items to combine it into one contract for the budgeted amount. So every segment scheduled for the lining in 2024 is in poor condition and in the need of lining for the reduction of I&I infrastructural rehabilitation. Visu Sewer has been the lining contractor for the past 10 years, and staff is very confident in their abilities. So a total amount of $505,000 was budgeted for this in the 2024 fiscal year, and staff is recommending that the mayor and village board authorize the budgeted amount. Public Works and Engineer staff requests that the board of Trustees awards the contract for sewer lining program to Visit Sewer in an amount not to exceed $505,000.
When would this work start?
So we're going to hopefully get this work started earlier on this winter, or right after the new year. One of the projects that we're looking to do would be over by Zion Woods, that development. They have a sanitary sewer pipe that's going right through that property. So we see the need to do that now because once development starts, it would be very difficult to get in there and line that segment.
And you recall, we try to get in advance our major capital projects because of the equipment that's pounded on top of the sanitary. We want to harden that sewer line so that it doesn't get affected by the stuff that's going on top of it, similar to Zion Woods.
I'm glad that Visu Sewer comes in as low as they do every year, but do we have any idea why there's such a wide range in these bids?
So one thing that makes them stand out and allows them to lower their price is they actually make almost all their liners in-house. So they are able to cut the cost because they don't have to buy them from a third party in order to line their sewers.
And then they control the time.
In situ form used to be our main contractor in the world for many years, right, Bob? I mean, that's who I remember like 10 years ago and beyond. But those guys kind of got beat out.
Interesting.
I'd be interested in something, Ryan. If it doesn't take more than 5 minutes time to do it, next meeting or some meeting, I'd like to know how much you can estimate that we save by lining the sewers instead of replacing them. It must be a huge amount. At least I've always been thought that it's been a huge amount.
Yeah, that's something that I could look into.
Yeah.
It because there's less repair costs, such as when you have to dig it up, you're going to have to repair the road and everything like that. So that a lot of material is going into repair.
It's got to be a huge amount.
Wow.
Hey, Bob, let's think about some point in the future presenting the board with a map of all the sewers we've lined, probably in the last 20 years, because you're making a 60 to 70 year improvement when you do that,
Right.
and you're not having to rip up the frickin' street.
We have a layer on GIS that shows that.
Let's think about coming back to the board
That'd
with
be
that,
great.
Bill, and maybe a public works, or 6
Yeah, I
month
think
report
that's-
or something.
I think that's a good idea, and we can show off our new GIS contract. We just,
And you know,
We ought to have a contest on the board as who can come closest to how much we've saved over those years.
And I think it's a real. That's the investing in your infrastructure before
Yes.
it breaks.
Yes, that's what we always
it's like
do.
fixing your roof before it damages your home, right? It's the same idea.
but I would love to hear also what we've calculated, we've saved in terms of I&I.
Yeah.
That's a tougher one to, so we do have it every, so you may recall that 2 or 3 years ago, we did a monitoring project. And we had a consultant come in, they monitored
That was
sanitary
Burke,
sewer in
right?
certain basins. And this was based on the original report that we got that was
Right.
15, 17 years ago.
Right.
And so we found that we have removed X amount of I&I from the system, and we did another snapshot. It's in the capital program. I don't know exactly where it is, but it's part of that 5-year plan. Is to have this a similar firm come out, drop meters in the same locations, and then determine take a snapshot again and see how much I&I we've removed. So that's part of like an ongoing thing for us, just kind of see like a benchmark for us.
Right.
And Bill, to answer your question more directly about the cost savings on lining versus replacement, sanitary sewer roughly in the $100 to $150 range to install a new pipe.
Per foot.
Yeah, and then $30 roughly, about $30 to line the sanitary sewer. So it's
I
about
like
third
that
of the price.
Plus the disruption of all the land.
Well,
Well, that's the big savings is not disrupting the motoring public or residents while we're doing
right.
the
You
job.
disrupt a home service connection for a day.
Yeah.
You don't disrupt them.
And sometimes
And you kill
there's-
trees.
Sometimes
You do all
there's
kinds of-
odors,
in the
sometimes there's
roadway and
different
all kinds of
problems, But for the most part, sewer lining is pretty effective, and we've done an awful lot of it, through this contractor, through other contractors, and we've got it pretty well dialed in.
Looking back at, we were looking back at some old data from like early 2000s. The amount of backups that we had back then, compared to now,
The service disruptions, right?
incredible. So,
Yeah.
why don't we think about a larger report and
report.
presentation, maybe in the first quarter of next year, if you guys can. That'd be great.
How long does the lining last?
So it's, I don't know the exact time of how long it lasts, but it should last for over 30 years.
And
which is fine.
do you know what happens after that? Can you line a lining?
Reline it.
Yeah.
Reline-
Can you? Really?
And again, the lining is an epoxy plastic substance that supports the concrete structure that it's inside of. So you're not having to rebuild that structure or dig it up.
We could probably, Mayor, you asked for a report beginning of next year sometime. We could probably provide some slides that show exactly what that is.
That'd be great.
Before and after would be cool.
Yeah, so it's I mean, it's
I'm thinking we're doing a field trip. We're going to be doing a field trip pretty soon.
We're going to take you guys into some
Yeah.
sewers. That's
Thank
what we're
you.
going to do.
Look at how excited we got. All of a sudden, this board just came alive with the sewer lining. Wow.
You could come to Deerfield and see it happen. Come and see it happen live.
All right, we're going to do that. All right. I think
we did do it. I mean, I went on a field trip.
So did I, yeah. I think we need a motion on this.
Move approval.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Yes.
Trustee Seiden?
Yes.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ryan, I promised you lots of questions the other night. We gave you lots of questions. Good job tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Ryan.
Ordinance amending and revising the annual budget for the Village of Deerfield for fiscal year January 1, 2023, ending December 31, 2023.
If anybody wants to see any slides of my calculator, I'm happy to bring those up too.
No one.
Okay. As we approach the end of 2023, there's 4 accounts that need budget amendments. Those 4 accounts really relate to 2 projects, both of which we've talked to the board about in the past. The first is the purchase and improvements at 839 Todd Court. We're looking to increase the advisory board's expense by $348,000 for the purchase, as well as increasing the professional services other expense by $50,000 for the improvements that we've made so far at that property. The second project relates to the dispatch remodel. We're looking there to amend the building repairs and maintenance expense by $150,000. That project, recall, is funded by the JETSB, so there's an offsetting revenue to that line item. So increase the revenue, increase the expenditure. No net effect for that project on the village's financial position. I should say also that the Todd Court project, those funds are available within village reserves. So that is village money that's here in reserves.
All right, we need a motion. Any public comments on this? We need a motion to approve this ordinance amending the budget.
Move approval.
Second.
Roll call.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Yes.
Trustee Seiden?
Yes.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 23-100, a resolution convening the Joint Review Board, JRB, setting the time and place for a public hearing on the proposed Lake Cook TIF.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. Staff has been diligently working with our consultant on the proposed Lake Cook Road TIF district, but it's been quite a while since we've discussed the proposed TIF district with the village board. So I have just a couple slides here discussing this matter. All right. So the board will recall that it was August of 2022 that they authorized our consultant to study the area south of Lake Cook Road for the possible formation of a TIF district. At that time, it was determined that without the TIF district, this area would not receive any significant private investment. Then it was in March of this year that the board accepted the preliminary TIF eligibility report that was prepared by our consultant that determined there were 4 qualifying factors in this area could indeed qualify for the TIF. Those qualifying factors were stagnant and declining EAV. They have found that 4 of the last 5 years, the EAV has been lagging. They found deterioration in the site, deterioration in the buildings. There's excessive vacancies that are adversely impacting the area due to the duration of those vacancies and those buildings being unoccupied. And then they found inadequate utilities, both that could be overhead utilities, but also the report focused on underground utilities, storm sewer, sanitary sewer, water, sidewalks, as the gentleman spoke about earlier today in the Lake Cook Road area. All those items were identified as being inadequate and satisfied the state statute. And then tonight we're asking the board to consider the resolution that would set the time and place for the public hearing and to convene the Joint Review Board. In accordance with that, we had to place a draft redevelopment plan on file November 21st, and we did that, and that was included in your packet and posted on the village's website. To re-familiarize everybody with what we're talking about, this is the location shown here, 1411 to 1445 Lake Cook Road. It's comprised of the 5, or depends how you count them, 6 former Walgreens buildings, and then the Embassy Suites Hotel. So it's a pretty narrowly tailored TIF area. There were times early on in our discussions we were looking at expanded area, but this has been the final map where we've refined it down to these particular sites. So the resolution you have before you tonight would establish that the Joint Review Board will meet on January 4th at 10 a.m. right here in this room. It would consist of a village designee and then the taxing districts that directly levy taxes on these properties. So that would be Northbrook Fire Protection District, Deerfield Park District, Oakton Community College, Glenbrook High School District 225, Northbrook School District, that's the elementary district 27, Northfield Township, Cook County, and then we would also have a public member at large. And the JRB would then meet and make a non-binding recommendation to this village board within 30 days of that first meeting. The resolution also establishes then that we'd have a public hearing. We'd have to properly notice that. There's dates and actions that staff will take to meet those obligations, but the public hearing would then be set for the February 20th board meeting at 7:30 p.m. So that'd be part of our regular scheduled meeting, which would be a Tuesday that night due to the President's Day holiday. At that time, we will have our consultant present, and we will do a very comprehensive and thorough presentation on the proposed TIF district. We will review those qualifying factors in great detail. We will discuss what TIF is for the public, basically from A to Z. They will summarize the redevelopment plan and the qualification factors, as I mentioned. Of course, the public is welcome to participate in that public hearing. They may participate in writing or can be heard orally at the meeting. And so, in summary, tonight the village board can consider the adoption for the resolution, setting the time and place for the joint review board and the public hearing. If that moves forward, we'll have the joint review board meeting January 4th. The public hearing would then be February 20th, and that would allow the board to consider 3 TIF ordinances at the March 18th meeting. Should those ordinances be approved on March 18th, that would establish the TIF district, and the very next day, staff would be filing those ordinances with the county clerk and freezing that equalized assessed value. And that's the action that's before you this evening, and some of the next steps. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the public for Andrew? Are there any questions from the board for Andrew? Great. Thank you. So I will now call for a motion to approve the resolution convening the JRB meeting to January 4th, 2024 at 7:30 here.
Joint review board's at 10 a.m.
Sorry, 10 a.m. here?
Here in this room.
Here at this room. Is there a motion to set that date, time, and place?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Seiden?
Yes.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Items for discussion by mayor and board of trustees. I got a lot of stuff, so buckle in. That's right. First, to our residents who spoke tonight, both Brad and Paul, thank you for coming to the meeting, and thank you for offering your voices. I appreciate it. It's not an easy thing to do, and we take, Brad's not here, so I'll speak to you, Paul. We take what you say to heart. We may disagree, but we take it to heart. So thank you for taking the time, and again, for bringing your son. I'd like to have us consider a relatively abbreviated committee of a whole meeting on December 18th, which is also a village board meeting. So the thought would be to have it go back to back, like have the committee of a whole at 6-ish, and then roll right into our board meeting at 7:30. Is that okay with everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Pizza.
We'll feed you that night. We'll feed you.
Yeah, pizza or something will be served. Good.
Yes.
Good. All right.
Thank
So
you.
that's on for December 18th. As I said at the beginning of the meeting, Hal Weiner passed away on November 30th. He was 97 years old. We learned a little bit more about him during some of the beautiful speeches and eulogies today during his funeral. He was our village prosecutor starting in 1963. So if you can imagine a village prosecutor hanging out here doing his thing for 60 years.
Wow.
That's amazing. And I'm guessing that there's probably not another prosecutor who's had that tenure in Lake County at all. And I know Chief, I'm going to say a couple words, but if you want to, because you work closely with him for many years, that would be great. I've only met him on a handful of times, and I'm glad I did. I only regret that I didn't meet him more because he sounded like an amazing man with a wonderful family, wife, children, grandchildren. He will be missed, and I think his presence will be missed quite a bit. Memorial services took place today, and there's the Shiva. Is it tonight, Larry?
Tonight and tomorrow.
Tonight and tomorrow. If anyone is interested in paying their respects, we can have that information available. Just call staff. I can't remember exactly where it is. Chief, did you want to say anything about Hal?
Just a couple things. Primarily, he was a unique individual, second to none. Those we were fortunate enough to know him. I told the family earlier today, he made everybody a better person. I started here in 1976 and walked into the courtroom for the first time in the basement of Waukegan Police Department, and here was Hal Weiner, our prosecutor. Prosecuted up until COVID struck and shut down the courts, and handled each and every case like it was his first one out of law school. Mm-hmm. Kept us briefed. Walked in one day. He was prepared to have a lengthy discussion with me about perhaps having to give up a dog bite case. I said, Hal, we'll be okay. Let this one go. And he did, but just genuinely a nice man at heart, second to none. It will never be replacing anyone like that. And we say that very often when someone passes away that it's overused, but unique individual, one of a kind, and he made all of us better people throughout the department, and we will miss him.
One of the fun stories that we heard about today was when he was a young kid, 10, 12 years old, and he was selling newspapers. He was selling newspapers outside of, what was the field? What was it called? Ricketts Field back then? Or what was it? One of the baseball fields where the Yankees played. Mm-hmm. And he's selling newspapers. And someone taps him on the shoulder and says, hey, kid, sell me a newspaper. It was Babe Ruth.
Wow.
And he sold for a dime, and Babe Ruth said, keep the change. Kind of cool. So he will be missed. Thanks, Chief, for your words. We had our boards and commission reception last night at 570 Lake Cook Road at Solarium. Beautiful room. It's the second year we've done it at that location. And it was nice. It was well attended. And I said thank you to those who were in attendance, and I'll say it again. This village is as good as it is because of everyone who volunteers and gives their time. But special thanks to David, who really helped get everything ready and with the gifts and the organization, and Jessica Sharetta, who's also very, very helpful with that, as well as the winter celebration, which was the day and the night Friday before that. So Saturday and Friday night, Jessica was instrumental in helping us with our winter celebration and our winter market on Saturday, and then winter celebration Friday night here at Village Hall. The winter market was at Patty Turner. Lots of people, vendors, food, music. It was really, really nice. So to all the staff that put those programs together to make them as successful as they were, I thank you for that. And of course to the DBR Chamber. They're very supportive in all this stuff, and they were great. Public Works and the Police Department also helped in supporting these events. So we had a very busy weekend from Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and today's funeral. Bittersweet, but in a way it was all celebratory for our village and for the life of Hal Weiner. Those are some of the things I want to all the things I want to talk about. Or does anyone else want to say anything? I'm all talked out. No one else? All right. Kent, anything?
No, sir.
All right. I will now call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.